understand that podcast is out there and it absolutely will not stop for about 15 minutes. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Welcome back one more time. It's Missing Real, episode 5 already, and I'm your host, Mike Darrigo, as always. Today's episode is really special. Today is about a movie released in 1984, The Terminator. Even George Orwell couldn't see this one coming. Now, The Terminator is special, and I'd like to also dedicate this whole episode to my father, because Dad took me to see The Terminator back in 84, and now I'm doing a podcast about it all these years later. And, Dad was basically, a dad, so he probably wouldn't have a clue what the hell a podcast even is. And if I ever tried to explain it, it'd be something like, well, a podcast is sort of like a broadcast, only you use pods instead of broads. Does that help? Not really. But anyhow, The Terminator. One of the first films ever by James Cameron, who since went on to become quite an awesome writer-director. But this was like just on a kind of a tight budget and still managed to be absolutely mind-blowing. Great movie. I'm sure you've seen it and many of its sequels. So I really don't have to go too deeply into the plot. You know, and the Terminator is a cyborg sent from the future to assassinate the mother of who would be later on the resistance leader who conquers the machines, who would rule this future post-apocalyptic world. And if that's already too complicated, I'll just stop right there. So on to the movie. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, fresh off of Conan. In this movie, he has a lot less to say, but the body count is just as high. Only this time around, he uses bullets instead of blades. And it's just great. Carnage, death, violence everywhere. But it's still rated R, but I was old enough, under 17, not admitted without parents. So thank you, Dad, for being the parent that I was admitted with. So the movie was awesome. It begins with the windy nighttime street, newspapers blowing around, and all of a sudden you hear this electricity, and this huge hulking naked mass of Arnold steps up from this crater in the ground, and there's this kind of menacing, kind of thumping sound. Would you stop that, please? Gosh, annoying. That's like the music. That's basically Brad Feidel's score for the entire first half hour of the film. Just like this, somebody knocking on the side of a washing machine or something. You call that music? Dude. Thankfully, there's better music later on. But anyway, that's the sound of the Terminator stalking L.A. And the first people he encounters at Griffith Observatory are a trio of punks, two of which are played by really distinctive actors, one being the immortal, irreplaceable Bill Paxton. I think this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack. And the other one is Cobra's villain, Brian Thompson. Wash day tomorrow, isn't it, pig? So these two guys mouth off to the Terminator, and they get their asses handed to them and beat up and fuck you, asshole. That's the end of them, but Arnold gets himself a new set of clothes. And the next arrival from the future lands a little bit less gracefully, plops in the middle of a street, the electricity. Michael Biehn, who plays Kyle Reese. So he gets up sizzling, like, ugh. It looks like it really hurts, that time travel shit. He's all groaning and aching, and I guess he must have leapt into the time displacement equipment really quickly, then he just lands really, really awkwardly. Yeah, he didn't have time to just get in there and crouch down all posed like Atlas. But yeah, if the latter day action movie Arnold, with all of his quips and wisecracks and shit, came out of the time machine as the Terminator, he'd probably do some shit like, shit! Where the hell are my clothes? And what the hell happened to the other 8 inches of my dick? And where are all those Ecuadorian cigars I was carrying? You bastards! But anyway, back to Kyle Reese. Now, he's the hero of this story, and he's trying to save Sarah Connor from the Terminator. So the first thing he does, since he's naked, is he bums a pair of pants off of a bum, And immediately the cops got the flashlight on him and freeze. Like, what's he doing? He hasn't terminated anybody and you're going after him? But anyway, the cops give chase. He gets a gun from the cops. Then he gets a really fast shopping spree through a closed mall, gets some sneaks and some, tacky 80s shirts, and he even gets another shotgun from the front seat of a cop car. These 1984 police, man, they're pretty careless. So now he's armed, and the next thing he does is go to the phone book and check it out and find the listings of the 3 Sarah Connors in L.A. Well, the next morning, Terminator does the same shit. He shoves this big biker dude out of the way who's using the phone, and Terminator goes through the phone book and looks up the Sarah Connors. Now, I got a question for you. Isn't this like a cyborg, the T-800 Cyberdyne Systems Model 101, whatever, with a CPU inside? Doesn't he have like a database of phone numbers or something that he could just like access rather than going to the old white pages? That's kind of primitive, eh? Well, yeah, he was probably just the prototype. But he goes around, starts killing off Sarah Connors in their homes, just like, oh, how does he kill them? Well, I'm glad you asked. He visits a gun store, which is run by Dick Miller, the famous character actor who you've seen a million times, who passed away earlier this year. But he also died in the Terminator because you shouldn't keep ammo on the counter when you run a gun store. So anyway, Terminator walks in, he goes like, the 12-gauge autoloader? Yeah, that's a good gun. The 45 long slide with laser sighting? Oh yeah, these are new, we just got those in. Plasma laser rifle? What the fuck? It's just what you see, pal. Okay, hey, you got the 357 Magnum like Dirty Harry uses in the Dirty Harry movies? Yeah, those are on back order. Okay. What about the gun Gary Oldman used in The Fifth Element? Yeah, I love that one. That was cool, yeah. Yeah, just what you see, pal. All right. Well, do you have a slingshot? Hey, no need to get all sarcastic over here. Wrong. Well, bye-bye, Dick Miller. So Terminator's got guns, and he goes out terminating, killing Sarah Connors. But the one Sarah Connor left is the one that we're watching, and she's with a roommate, and the roommate's having a boyfriend over, and Sarah goes out because she's depressed, because she's watching the news, and Sarah Connors are getting killed. And, the safest thing to do is go out in public and be Sarah Connor. So she does that. And the Terminator pays a visit and crashes the date night, kills Ginger and Matt. Sarah's wandering around getting stalked by Reese, thinking he's a creep and that he's going to terminate her. So she slips into this dance club called Tech Noir. Now, Tech Noir is pretty cool. They play cool music in there. It's like this 80s kind of Pat Benatar sort of dance rock stuff. And the group that does a couple of the songs is called Triangles. The singer is Tawny Kane. She was married to Journey's Jonathan Kane at the time. Well, today things are a little different. Today, his wife is a minister who's the spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump. Or, well, I didn't think you saw that one coming, did you? So anyway, in Tech Noir, Terminator goes in and, hey, that guy didn't pay! Terminator don't pay. So he goes inside, looks around. He doesn't dance, but he's like checking out the crowd, and they're all doing the robot, and he probably wants to kill them all immediately. But his target is sitting at a table, Sarah Connor, and in slow motion, the Terminator, Sarah, and Reese all look at each other, and he draws his gun, gets the laser sight right on her head, and all of a sudden, Reese shoots the Terminator. Crowd starts scattering. Come with me if you want to live, and if you want to drink. So they run out, get in the car, big chase follows, and then Terminator's after them running, and he just doesn't want to stop. And they finally pull into a garage where it's a little quiet for a few seconds. Reese is explaining all the shit that's going on and about the future, but she doesn't believe him, and that John Connor, your son, Sarah, your unborn son. So he's getting a little personal here, but yeah. Anyway, he knows this shit, but he has to convince her. Meanwhile, she's scared out of her wits, and she just wants to escape from him. And the cops are still chasing him around. They find him in the garage. They leave. The Terminator's shooting at him. The Terminator takes over another cop's car, and he does voices, too. He impersonates the cop after he bops his head into the wall. This is 1019 westbound on Olympic approaching Overland. Fooled them. And eventually, after another big chase, they crash. The Terminator gets shot in the eye by Reese, but one lucky shot he gets. And then they get arrested. Terminator goes off to the seedy hotel, do a little maintenance. He has to pop out his contact lens, and he has to slit his wrist to check the servos. It's not suicide. He's very positive about his mission and about terminating and everything. So Yeah, he's off and ready. He got his shades on, fixes his hair, plays a little Duran Duran. He's ready, man. He's into it. He's gone. So Sarah had called the cops before, so now they're at the police station, and the cops are okay. You know, they're played by pretty good actors. You got Paul Winfield as Lieutenant Traxler. Paul Winfield was cool, man. He was like in Star Trek 2 and some other shit. He's good, man. And then you have Lance Henriksen. Lance Henriksen is very, very familiar to the Cameron family here. And he was actually considered to play the role of the Terminator at first. He lost it to Arnold. Luckily, though, there were still good things waiting in the wings, because then he would play a different kind of robot later on. He'd be Bishop in Aliens. And that's pretty cool, too. And another consideration for the Terminator role was actually O.J. Simpson. But back then, Cameron thought, hey, how would people possibly accept a nice guy like O.J. as a killer? It wouldn't work, man. That's science fiction. So anyway, we got, Lance Henriksen and Traxler there. It's like, the coffee's 2 hours cold. Mm-hmm. I put a cigarette out in it. I'll put your mama out in it. Now let's get to work. This girl's scared. She's been kidnapped. We have to take care of it. Let's set her up with Dr. Silberman. Now, Dr. Silberman is a real schmuck, man. In each movie, he's in like 2 other Terminator movies, and he gets to be more of an asshole in each one. But in here, he's interviewing Reese to try to figure out, like, what's this guy's story? What's he doing? And pretty much they want to throw him in jail anyway. They don't believe any of his shit, Well, if it's like, it's a time displacement stuff, what is this? I didn't build the fucking thing. All right. And then they want to have him committed. And meanwhile, the Terminator, who's not stupid, finds out where the police station is, and that Sarah's there, so he comes in knocking. I'm a friend of Sarah Connors. I thought she was here. Could I see you, please? Man's here. She's making a statement. If you want to wait over there's a bench. I'll be back. Excuse me. Is it municipal parking lot outside? I'll be back. Do I need a validation ticket or anything? Sir, you're gonna just have to. I'll be back. Do I have change of $1? Sir, yeah, just hang out. It's going to take a while. She's making a statement. I'll be back. And then he is back with a car. Crashes right through the police station. Yeah, if you can't find a parking spot, might as well drive through, eh? So he gets in there and starts shooting up the place. Terminating everything in sight. Every cop is gone. The cool cops that I like get killed too. But then Sarah and Reese miraculously escape. And the Terminator just has to walk. Eventually they end up in some little underpass and more exposition and stuff about the future. Yeah, it's all burnt out. But you see these future flashbacks, and it's mostly just like the landscape is just a bunch of skulls. And there's these like drones flying around, and there's dogs and people eating rats, and there's no television, but they watch like the burnt out shell of TV sets with a fire burning inside. So basically they just watch fire. And look out for Terminators. And then, like in the middle of the season finale of Fire, Terminators interrupt and they break in and start shooting everybody up with these purple laser beams. And this picture of Sarah Connor that Reese was carrying with him all of these years gets burnt to a crisp, but it's symbolic. It's important. And they wake up. We have to figure out what to do, So they have to go to a motel, and Sarah calls her mom, but it's really not her mom because the Terminators got the phone book from her apartment and went to the mom's place and terminated the mom. But they talk, and he uses his voice skill again. He's like, I love you, ma'am. I love you too, sweetheart. For you, I kill your mom, I terminate her, and I come to your motel and terminate you after a continental breakfast. So they're at the motel, and they're making explosives, plastique, to help, maybe blow up the Terminator. And of course, they have sex. There's the love scene, the requisite love scene. And you'll notice in this, if you've ever seen Linda Hamilton in a sex scene, she always seems to like grimace a little bit and twist her neck, like she's got like a cramp in there or something. Watch it, man. She does the same shit in Black Moon Rising, but maybe it's because she looks down and sees Tommy Lee Jones' craggy old face in bed. Could be that. I don't know. But yeah, she does that a lot. I don't know. I mean, I've never personally, been with her, but I don't know if it's just acting. Maybe it's a method. I don't know. But anyway, they probably conceived John Connor in that very moment. So it's like, it's important. So whatever kind of faces she wants to make, it's for the good of the future of mankind. Yes. Okay. So Terminator finds him. He's outside. The dogs start barking, woof, 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 because they could sniff out them cyborgs in an instant. And they're on the run yet again. They steal a pickup truck. Terminator's got a motorcycle. It's really fast. They keep shooting and throwing dynamite back and forth at each other, and nobody gets anybody. Well, Reese gets nicked a little bit, but then they all skid out, and the Terminator gets up and he gets run over by a truck. They hit the brakes. Holy shit. He brakes for like 30 seconds, dragging Terminator across the pavement. And he finally stops, gets out of the truck. Oh shit. Oh man, I hope he's not all stuck in the tires. Get out. I think that's the first time he says that in the franchise. Anyway, so he's chasing him down with the truck now. And they run and run and run. And Reese gets behind the truck and he flings another dynamite stick in the exhaust pipe. And the truck blows up. And it's on fire. And the Terminator gets out and he burns and falls to the ground. And then Sarah and Kyle, they hug. We got him, get him. He got him. But from the fire, this big metallic thing stands up, and it's the endoskeleton, and it's scary. And at this point in the movie, Arnold's considerable acting skills are no longer needed because it's just a metal frame and pretty scary looking. Stan Winston, man, you did a good job there. So it's chasing them. It has a limp, but they still go. They get inside this warehouse or factory or whatever it is. And Reese is exhausted, man, because he's been like a soldier for like decades. And he just wants to just fall down and rest. And Sarah gets all, on your feet, soldier. She gets all military on him. And then they start flicking things on, turning on televisions and blenders and hair dryers and whatever the fuck they can just to scramble the signal and confuse the Terminator. But eventually it catches up to them and Reese has to sacrifice himself. And he's like, come on, motherfucker. He's like, he's trying to whack it, and whacks him back, and he's about to buy it, and he just takes one more little stick of dynamite, and he shoves it up the Terminator's ass, or whatever it is, whatever part, and blasts him to pieces. But Reese's pieces, too. And no, well, he dies, though. That explosion takes him out, and Sarah's crying. And then the Terminator wakes up. Well, at least half of the Terminator, because that's all that's left. It's like his top half with one arm, and he's crawling over Reese's corpse. He's dragging himself. Dragging himself across the pavement, trying to chase Sarah, and she goes through this hydraulic press, and she closes the gate, and she squishes the Terminator, and more lightning comes out. I don't know if he goes back to the future or something, but anyway, he's finally shuts down, and she's rescued by cops or whoever comes by outside at the last minute. But nobody saw the Terminator. Nobody believes any of the shit, so she has to just drive off to Mexico now. And this kid takes a picture of her. It turns out to be the same Polaroid that Reese will be holding in his hand in the future. Wow, it's like some sort of full circle, some kind of like fucking Mobius strip, how things just like wrap around. Or maybe it's just complete bullshit, I don't know. But she starts making these recordings. She's making mixtapes for John. Maybe little Guns N' Roses on there or something, or some triangles. Just recording messages to help train him to be the leader of the future resistance and save mankind. And so the Terminator kind of has a little open ending where she just drives off, and we don't know if the war is coming or not, or if what's going to happen. But thankfully, James Cameron did bring us T2 some years later, but that was after he did Aliens, and he was on a streak, man. Like, he could do no wrong. He had the Aliens, The Abyss, True Lies. It's like, yeah, he had not a single misstep until Celine Dion opened up her yap. But, hey, there was other Terminator stuff, too. The Cameron ones are truly, like, the essential part of the whole franchise. But the other ones are okay. And there was a TV show, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which was cool because it had Lena Headey playing Sarah Connor. Now, Lena, of course, is Cersei Lannister, to all you GOT fans. And season 2 of this Terminator TV show featured Shirley Manson from Garbage playing some, like, liquid metal Terminator / CEO of some company, and she had her Scottish brogue and her nice fancy outfits and whatever. It was just a cool show that had a lot of potential, but it sort of ended also kind of uncertainly and was never renewed, and we'll never know, will we? Well, it seems like this is all I got to say on the subject of the Terminator. I'm sure I'll come around and do some more on T2 at some point. And I'm really sorry if there were any spoilers in this episode. I mean, damn it, you should have seen the movie like 50 times already by now. But if I did drop any spoilers, well, why don't you just go back in time and change it or something? Well, I guess that's about it then. So thanks for listening again to Missing Real. And there'll be more. The future is not set. Goodbye. I know now why you cry. You listen to Missing Real and it sucks. Alright, everybody. Later. Take care.